excessive thinking, they have lost touch with reality. That's to say, we confuse science with the real world.
Alright, seems like we are live. Thank you for everyone who's coming in early, and for those who came in like 20 minutes early, thanks for your patience. We've also been quite impatient, especially because we were procrastinating a lot, and maybe we have not done our notes till like yesterday. So, anyways, um, I'm here accompanied by Maxis. We're going to be your commentators for this year's MCA for Mania in specific. Uh, do you have anything else to say, Maxis?
Yeah, hello guys. Welcome to the 2021 Mappa Choice Awards and thank you for following this and the stream to know who is the determined winner for this awards. Like what is your impression for this current year winner randomly?
For Grand Award, I mean, I think this is just like a question we should be asking the chat instead of ourselves because I think we already spoiled with the answers. But regardless of that, I think just in general, just as a general impression of how this year has been, though, instead of like outright saying who won, um, personally think it's been a fairly decent year for Mania as a whole, especially if we compare it with other years, the upgrades that we've been able to achieve, and what the community as a whole has been able to achieve, both modders, mappers alike, and everyone who has been backing up the section as a whole.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Should we continue?
yeah, I think we can already like start with things because CTP is starting in couple hours, so we might as well leave them some leeway there to work with.
Yeah, sure, let's go then.
So we're going to be starting with the map categories, then we're going to continue with user categories, then the user grand award, and finally the map grand award. We're just going to go through the podium for each category. Obviously starting from the third one, then going to the second one, then going to the first one, and that's what we're going to be working with.
So currently the third one for the spread category is Commandership Map Battle.
I'm not sure if it's supposed to be displayed because it's not on the stream. I think we just ran into our first technical problem. Yeah, and it seems like people are complaining about the music being a little bit too loud, so I would suggest turning it down just a little bit. And yeah, I think we should be showing the map in order to like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like volume's better, that's for sure. Yeah, I think this is the issue with being the first ones to start because we are the ones with most chances of running into technical issues with, but as long as we get it done, we should be fine.
So I guess we can try to give our opinion about Velo's current map. I guess let's start with you first about it.
Well, personally, something that I wrote down in my notes is that this is Phalo's first ever ranked map, and it has amassed such big like popularity, such a big player base that like the map. Um, I would say that comes from many different factors. Both the music itself, it's very appealing. The spread, which obviously this map has been nominated for and it's winning an award for, is quite accessible because even though it has its top difficulty, which is just a very extreme challenge for those who can tackle it down, it also offers other difficulties that less experienced players are more like prompt to try out. So there's something for everyone that can do those difficulties, those previous difficulties.
Yeah, and definitely I think it's also comes to with the fact that it's a long spread. Oh, now it's already live.
Yeah, finally, thank you for the fix.
Finally, now we can finally see the top difficulty.
Yeah,
Like, I think this is comes from the actually pretty famous game source, isn't it? If I recall correctly, like it boosts its popularity a lot in that regard.
yeah, it did come. A lot of its popularity and a lot of Chroma's other works do come from other games. So being it, like seeing it translated into Mania, is probably not a surprise, but still, that was a big factor to play into this map's popularity. Regardless of that, I don't think that's like it makes justice to the map because the charts themselves, the spread itself, is very as I said before, appealing to everyone. There's something for everyone, and the top difficulty is quite, on my personal opinion, it's fun to go through when I was able to play it properly. But anyways, for those who are not aware of how this map goes, it's quite a mix of very speedy patterns and very draining if you're obviously not passing, which you shouldn't. But anyways, it's a very interesting map. I honestly, if you haven't tried it out, which I would expect most people to have done so by now, given the map's popularity, I would say to give it a shot. It's definitely not all that conventional, even for the year that it was released on.
I mean, even I looked at the YouTube and I saw some of the top players actually play it. I think it's Kruke. Like, he got pretty good score from this difficulty, but obviously it's also inviting a lot of players in that regard.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But I think that's the map for you guys. I think you're the most acquainted with it, given that you guys were the ones to vote and nominate for it. So we can go ahead into our second place for the spread category.
Yeah.
Eventually, that is. Probably used to leave it off. Another problem, so it's fine. It's fine. We're just going to keep watching the chart. Guess that's the best we can do.
Yeah, the chart actually going into the fun part as well, so might as well.
Yeah, we
Right.
might as well just see the climax. Yeah, that's just the map for you. It has a little bit of everything. Just a lot of speed, that's for sure.
This has like almost everything, like all the bursts, all the dome, all the mini element.
Yeah, the bursts are just deceptively hard. Like, the amount of times that I will just wave one and then fuck the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, it's just
And the
uncountable.
next one is
Yeah.
Blacky Babylon by Madoka.
Yeah, these
Oh,
two
we
are.
actually have a key here.
Yeah. So basically, the spread is made with a 6-key spread and an 8-key spread. As you can see, the 8-key map is a 7+1 key, so it's technically not 8-key, but regardless, that's the most common way to see these kinds of charts being charted. Like,
And this chart actually being layered in a way that it has all the bracket stream actually. Like, this is actually harder than what it's,
yeah.
I think.
But yeah, honestly,
But actually, yeah.
no, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like it's really rare to have actually full spread anti-meta nowadays, right? Like people going with 4 key and 7 key, 6 key and 8 key, like it's the combination of the key modes that happen like all time. And I'm actually pretty amused by the fact that Madoka making a big spread for with this anti key modes out of all.
Yeah, this is definitely like unique just by the fact that they try doing something with key modes that were generally just not even looked at. So doing that and actually doing a spread that people were comfortable with playing and enjoying and offering a wide range of difficulties that people could try out, that's something commendable by itself.
Yeah, I definitely agree here. And also, I think like Madoka quite have a lot of emphasis on the outer finger column. I think by the pattern, like I saw,
Yeah.
quite emphasize on how he chart and his style is.
But yeah, even nowadays, which we're seeing more and more kinds of like different charts here and there. Even nowadays, we've not seen something as ambitious as this in terms of like pushing for like different kinds of key modes. So just because of that, I think this whole spread, this whole bitmap set, is going, well, not probably going down in history. It might be and stretching it, but like it's going to be recognizable. It's going to stand up on its own when people come back and try to recall it.
Yeah, and also I think it's important for Mapper to actually do this kind of spread if they want to actually make more people involved in this kind of key mods as well. Like,
Yeah,
there's a lot of bursts out there.
yeah, it's not all that easy, but I think that's fine. That's fine because given how little high-end content there is for these key modes, I think it's important to like offer some degree of challenge that people will be willing to play those maps for and get on the
Definitely.
leaderboards.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's Babylon for you. I do suggest that you also check out the 6 key spread if you have not seen it yet.
Yeah, I did also play it beforehand, the 6 key, and I would say it's as good as this 8 key.
Yep, especially more
On,
approachable.
yeah. And on to the next one.
It's gonna be Anima.
Oh,
YG.
Kawawa.
Finally. Just as a
And
spoiler, but this is not the first time that you're going to be seeing this map, so get used to it. Uh, but yeah,
like, what else to say about Kawawa?
yeah, I think honestly, I could be saying a lot right now, but if I started rambling on things, I will run out of stuff that I can, well, that I need to say later. So for now, just focusing on the spread part of what made this map unique is that, sorry, at the time of this map being ranked, and a little bit before, ranking maps on the 7 key mode was still all not that popular. I still remember some months in, like, for example, 2020, 2019, where like no 7 key maps would be ranked at all, which
Yeah.
was surprising to see. And seeing these spreads being made is comforting because it literally just makes it accessible for everyone to try out this map with the lowest of difficulties, and yet it offers a meaningful challenge for those more amateur players that are just like starting with 7 keys, those more experienced ones that are still trying to push it to the top, and then the top difficulty, which offers the best challenge that this spread can offer.
Yeah, and also I heard it from Kawawa himself that in order to actually making a full spread like this and then like adjust the difficulty, you have to make it accessible for everyone. He took like around 4 months, I think, to actually clean his
Yeah,
chart and then like repattern everything. Like it's actually a lot of work, like a lot of work. Like
it
I'm
is.
actually very impressed. Like it's a huge respect for him actually doing all of this.
Yeah, like the amount of work that goes into making not only like not only just making the spread, but making sure that each difficulty like stands up on its own. That doesn't feel like just a filler for the top difficulty. That's also very commendable, especially if we take into account how difficult it gets sometimes to like express ideas in a certain way without colliding with ideas of other difficulties. Like as a mother, I see this happening a lot of times in which you try to express an idea in one way, but it just is really hard to make it fit in a way that the spread like makes it coherent with the whole spread itself.
Definitely agree, yeah, with that. And also, like, we have to remind ourselves that this is a full rise chart. Like, all the difficulty comprised of like almost all rise notes. And from my own experience, it's actually much more difficult to actually make it like a lot more structure, and then like make it more interesting for the player to play than like regular long notes chart, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, the way that now this is usually like a tangent on the chart itself, the way that it manages to express the piano with the different like layering techniques. After I played this map, after being able to play this map better said, it is really like impactful on how well it actually plays with the music that it's trying to represent. And this happens on all, if not most, difficulties that I've tried out. So again, as I said before, it's very commendable making a spread this unique on each and every single difficulty.
Yeah, I think like there is still quite a lot of word to express how impressed all of us by Kawawa's effort to make this.
Yeah.
Like, I think definitely deserve the first place in the spread category, that's for sure.
But yeah, that's the map for you. And as I said before, get used to it. It's not the first time that this map has been nominated, so it might appear or it might not appear in other categories. And also another side note, speaking of the spread thing, this really, really was a stepping stone for like spreads this big in general being nominated in Mania for 17 specific. So hey, that's another thing that this map offered for like the whole community as a whole, which is the idea that you can make these spreads and make them work. But anyways,
Yeah.
that's the map for you guys.
On to the next one, I guess.
Yep, and we're finally reaching our second category, which is going to be slider velocity. There you go.
So the third one is Bluefield Creator for this chart.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing of its own. I think it does deserve to be in the place it is, but I can understand why it might not be appealing to the most of the community. Even so, it managed to amass a popularity that other maps wouldn't have been able to because of how unique it is.
Yeah, from my perspective, like when I look at the editor, and I definitely realize like how much effort the charter does to actually create all these SV effects to the whole entire 26 minutes match. I think like it's very long.
Yeah. Like making a map this long and making it like interesting all the way through is very difficult from all I know. Um, I would suggest playing this chart if you have not yet, mainly because we're probably not going to be able to showcase it all on, the showcase itself because it's 16 minutes. We're not going to be showing it for 16 minutes. So give it a try while you guys are hearing us rambling about the maps that have been nominated. But anyways, it's rather unique with its SB usage. As you can see, it's not all that difficult. Obviously, it's not one of these extreme examples of SB usage. Yet these little details add some level of depth that without them wouldn't have been achieved as easily. But yeah, I'm not sure if you have anything else to add. Personally, it's not like I can express what I feel about this map with words. I think it's more expressive by trying it out, especially because the skin does not make justice to the space because that depends a lot on what player skin uses. So the experience may vary. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think this chart like remind me a lot of Evening Sky Shifter in a way. Like if you want to actually enjoy the nuance of the chart to the most, like you need to actually have the patience to actually experience all the note and the SPs itself. Like that's what it reminds me of.
But yeah, I think we should be already speeding things up, not taking like 16 minutes for one map, and we can go to the
Yeah,
second one.
I think we can go to the second place this time.
Yeah. And
Oh,
for second one, yeah.
Overthinker. This one is by Salty Mermaid, isn't it?
Yep. So not only it's an anti-key, not only it's made on an anti-key mode, but also it's unique with its SB usage. Just as before, it's not all that challenging, but again, these SBs really do add some texture to the mix.
Mm.
Surprised this is not the first one. Well, I think the first one also has merits to be there. You'll be surprised by it, well, or not. You won't be surprised by it, maybe. Regardless, I do also think that this one had a lot of chances to be first, given that it's both very approachable. The SVs are like easygoing, but again, they add some level of detail that would have otherwise have not been represented. And it's 6K, so it has the best of all worlds, I guess.
Oh, we actually already come to the fun part here. Like this one already expressed the true value of the SP of this chart.
Yeah. Definitely tricky if you're not used to it, but once you get a hold of it, it's definitely fun to go through, because the layering itself, it's fairly simple. But just by adding those small SPs here and there, you're just adding all that much interest to the map itself. And that's what made people enjoy it.
Yeah, and also I think like this requires some memorization, but it's not that much actually. Like
Yeah.
I can imagine for like SP expert, they can actually cyclate it already. But for someone like me, I definitely need to like play a few times.
Yeah, it's definitely one of these maps that if you know this song, you're most likely going to have a fine time with the SPs, even if you're sidereading it. But anyways, I would still be cautious, especially with some of the releases, because you can always mess up those even with the SPs. But regardless, I think we can go to our first place finally.
Yeah, let's know who is the winner of the Slider Velocity Award.
And it's going to be Wave Tapper. That's why I was saying that it might not have been all that surprising given these maps' history.
Wave Tapper, it's actually my favorite SP chart. Actually, one of my favorite ever. Like the execution is just extremely flawless for me. I like it.
It's fun. It's fun. I mean, if you have fun playing hits on difficulties, you might as well enjoy this one. But, anyways, regardless, I think this map has a lot of merit being where it is right now. Given that, I think the best way to explain it is that it's deceptively predictable. But even though it's predictable, given its heavy anchor usage, it's still going to mess you up. Even if you think you have it, it's still going to mess you up.
Yeah, like for people who are not used to play this kind of thing, like from my own experience, it messing up how you predict the rhythm and then predict how it gonna place, and then it's actually pretty difficult and need a lot of adjustment in general.
Yep. It's really nasty when it like normalizes the visual rhythm to something and then it just like does a 360 on you, then butt fuck. I cannot say these words. I'm sorry. That's just how I normally speak. It royally screws you up. That's what I was trying to say in other words. It's still fun. It's still fun though. I suggest that if you're a fan of SBs, or even if you haven't tried, there's a whole spread, and there's like an easier SB difficulty if you want to try it out with this music. I think it's worth giving it a shot.
Definitely, yeah. And also, I think other than from the playability aspect, I must also say that from the structural aspect, this is actually well made, like really well made for me.
Yeah.
Like I can already tell from like seeing it directly.
But
But yeah,
anyways, yeah,
congratulations to me.
yeah, that's a map for you. This just proves that you can rank hits on difficulties if you just add SBs on them. I'm just joking here, but still, it's a fun map. I suggest you try it out. It genuinely is. Let's just go to the next category before someone shouts at me.
Yeah, let's go.
Next category is going to be marathon.
Marathon. La Aleppo. Oh. This is actually my favorite song as well. Like I know this from Jakar's version, but this one 7K actually definitely actually doing justice to actually how to express the song really well. Especially this is very well known song Aleppo, like in standard mode.
Yeah, I think it represents the chaotic nature of the song quite well with its patterning. Yeah, I would say it's one of these 7-key charts that's really unique, really niche, but that the people who like it a lot. And that's why it's here. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been nominated or voted. I think that's what these awards are for, anyways.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. Like, actually, I'm one of the person that really like to play this chart before. I played it few times, and like, although this is in the marathon category, but I also mentioned the fact that the SV of this chart actually also really fun to play for me.
Yeah. Like, compared to the rest, is rather trivial, but again, if you wouldn't have those SBs, I would personally say that it would like not be as polished in a way, that you would be missing some details that you wouldn't have otherwise have represented on the chart itself. But yeah. Anyhow, again, if you can play this map, I would suggest you try it out. I've played it only once when I was shit at the key mode, but anyways, it was still fun. I would say that if you're better at the mode, you'll have more fun than I did back then. But I think
also,
we can. Oh yeah,
yeah,
sure.
I mean, yeah, also like this is actually PP map as well in a way. Like the pattern really comfortable.
Yeah, now that I would have been able to play this map properly, the patterning is accessible. The star rating is inflated because the star rating sucks. As simple as that. But anyways, give it a try. I'm going to be very repetitive with just the give it a try thing, but I think that's the best way to understand what makes a map what it is. Anyhow.
Yeah. I think we can try to go to the second phase right now.
Yep.
Oh, the same map all over again.
Yep. A lot. Well, not a lot, but a few maps are going to be repeated here and there. I think, just as we explained before, the fact that this map is 16 minutes of like unique patterning techniques here and there, and the SBs making the experience not all that bland, is what makes this map like an actual like a 16-minute marathon. You're wasting, well, not wasting, you're using 16 minutes of your time to go through it, so you might as well enjoy all those 16 minutes. And I think this map does that really well.
Definitely, yeah. Like in 2021, like I don't really remember how many marathon and that actually have this long of spread.
Yeah.
Like the second place definitely worth it for this map.
Yep. I think we should probably not spend all that much time with maps that we've already gone through. So as this one, I don't really have anything else to say besides go play it.
Yeah, I think we can definitely try to know who is the winner of marathon category here.
Yep. And I've seen some people managing to, know which one was going to be the first one. Sadly, it's not my preference, but it still does deserve its spot, definitely. And for the first place, we're going to have Evening's Caravan.
Have fun. Wow. Definitely this is actually, yeah, I think people predict this a lot that this gonna wins and it really delivers.
Yeah, the commentator's biased, I guess. Uh, I have my preferences as well. I was able to vote. I have a voice. Well, yeah, I'm literally just speaking right now, so I do have an actual voice. Regardless, as some people, knew that it was coming, Caravan is on our first spot, and I think even though it's self-explanatory with how unique and expressive the layering used is, and while the amount of effort that went into timing this map properly, I would suggest going into the editor, unless you have like 4 gigs of RAM, in which it's going to crash your editor.
Yeah.
I think it's worth giving it a shot. Some parts are trickier than others, but I guess that's, well, I don't guess. That is the nature of this chart, making sure to express with tricky motions very detailed musical motifs. And I think that's fun to go through. That's really fun.
Yeah, one thing to note as well is that I already know Evening for like few years already. He already have some of the charts that he timing like quite a lot like this, similar like this, like the one few of them already in love section, and also like I also know for the fact that this kind of timing require like a lot of time, like for example like is some of his love map require like 1 to 2 months to actually finish doing this, like a lot of effort for sure.
I definitely would say, like someone just pointed out in the chat, that some parts are like more enjoyable than others. Compared to other marathons, this is just like a personal, obviously biased side comment of mine, but I think the nature of a marathon should be to let the player enjoy doing the whole stretch of the marathon as much as possible. Like, you're not going to play a marathon 15 minutes only to enjoy 2 of those. And I think that for the most majority of the chart, this is like well accomplished. Some other parts, just because of how the song is more like chill and relaxed, that's not really able to be captured through like actual motions on the patterning. But despite that, I think that the highlights of this map do justify its position as it is right now.
Yeah, I definitely think like overall, all things considered, like Evening definitely win the Mappers Favorite Awards like few months ago, and then win it again with this chart. Like really well done.
Yeah. Obviously, a lot of people were expecting for other charts, myself included, don't worry. But regardless, we're here to enjoy was won the award for marathon, in which case it's going to be Evening's Caravan. And I think we can go right to our next section.
Yeah.
Which is going to be long notes.
Long note.
So for those Noodle fans out there, this is the section to look out for.
Oh.
Wait, was it that one?
The third place is Abraxos Jisoku Musoku.
Oh shit, there's 3. Oh, I forgot. Fuck. Alright, never mind. My notes are all screwed up, but yeah, I forgot that we could have ties. Anyways. Yeah.
I mean, like, I did play this chart before as well. Like, I always like how Abraxos style like very emphasized well. Like, I definitely like can take a guess like that's his chart by how he expressed his long notes, especially small long notes. Like, it's very well defined.
Yeah, their charting style is really unique, which is unique in a polarizing way because you can really like it or not like it so much, but despite that, it's commendable that you can do something this, let's just say, contrarian to what most people will do and still be enjoyable to play through, which I personally do love.
Yeah, Anyway, I think this is definitely deserve the place in the top 3 spot for sure. And I think we can go to the second place.
Nope. Well, we're going to continue on the third place because there's a tie, but yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's why I was surprised. I didn't check for those like repeated numbers. So yeah, we're going to go to our second, third place, which again, we are not going to go through a lot. Yeah. We've already seen it on the marathon category, and even though the LNs aren't as expressive as the I would say as the motions themselves, because the LN difficulty isn't all that comparable to other nominations. I would say they still hold a value that would have otherwise not have been there were they not have been placed. Yeah, the second half is not an island map, but regardless, they are there. You're seeing them right now. It's not like you can say they're not there.
yeah, but people can also see from the editors directly later on to see what do we mean by it.
Yeah, it has at least one LN, so it's your favorite LN map. That makes sense. Yeah, I think we can jump in the next one though.
To the winner of the long notes category.
And for the third place, we have the one that I actually had notes for.
Oh, this actually have another third place.
Yep. Yeah. And I would say this is just like Abraxas' example. I think the LN usage is not conventional. And even so it's not conventional, it still is able to express things in a way that would have otherwise not have been able to be achieved without those.
Like, I saw some of equal maps before, and definitely, I think, if anything, I expect this actually to win the long note spot. I think, like, I really like the expression of the long notes overall.
Yeah.
Like, it's very good.
Yeah, just like you said, I think the keyword here is expressionist. I think what this map is trying to convey, given what Tickle has said on discussions in the past, it's very expressive with what they are trying to convey. And I think they achieved it thus far. Even though it might not show through gameplay, at least playing wise, you can actually feel like what they were trying to go through. And I personally do like this map a lot, even though it has its ups and downs. I think it's just really good and well thought out.
So, one thing to note that Tickle is always an unorthodox mapper in a kind of similar with the stack. Like, he always tried to find a way to make it as each as possible, and I think this is definitely deliver, all things considered.
Yeah. Anyhow,
Okay.
we're finally going to the second place.
Oh.
Probably not as expected for some, and then very expected for others.
Oh.
It's going to be Heritage Noir.
Yeah, by Amici. I actually know this chart personally. Like, there's a lot of abundant LNs at the middle to the latter part of the chart, and
Yeah.
I think this leads to the more of conventional LN charting compared to the previous rank chart.
Yeah.
But I think this is actually has the appeal that are better for the casual player in general, and I think Ami actually able to deliver that in this as well.
Yeah, just as you said, given that this contest as a whole is mainly a popularity one, more approachable charts or more not well-known ones, but actually known ones are probably going to have the most chance of being recognized, even if it's just by popularity alone. And I think this is a good example of that. It's not a bad chart by any means. It's definitely not going to be everyone's cup of tea. But yet, given that it's a popularity contest, that's as much as you can expect. Not good, not bad. It's decent, and the community has liked it. And again, someone in the chat has already discovered what's going to be the first one. And honestly, I do love that that's going to be the first one, given that I personally enjoyed back when I was promoting that content to be ranked. So, as for the first place, we're going to have a map used on a certain tournament, not very well-known tournament. It's going to be Del Rio.
I remember that you nominate this chart, I think.
I did, yeah. It was fun to go through. It was fun to go through. Definitely, I think this was my first or second experience of going through tournament charts alongside Sylvia. So it was quite interesting working with a tournament map and making sure that it's like compatible with the rank section, because back then there was such a huge disparity between what people thought that it was okay to rank and not so okay to rank, and that applied also to tournament maps. And I think this was like a really good stepping stone to demonstrate that that isn't the case, and that's just a stigma that should be broken.
Yeah, and I think like Rafael already did this kind of charting for like a long time since 2016, and I'm actually quite surprised actually like how much improved his charting is throughout the years. Like I felt this is a different person charting if I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, but definitely a fun mob to go through. Like I sometimes go through it from time to time when I'm bored, which is well, when I'm bored and when I have free time, which nowadays it's not all that common. So I don't play that much, but I still play it from time to time. Anyways, if you have not played, I would suggest playing it. If you're not ready for the top difficulty, I would still suggest to check out on the previous difficulties, because in order to manage to make it rank, we had to make some, previous difficulties, because the spread is bitch sometimes, and this case was one of them. So enjoy it while you still can, which you'll be able to enjoy however you like, as long as the servers stay up.
Definitely, yeah. Anyway, like congratulations to Rafael for winning the long notes category. Absolutely deserved, I think. For
Yeah.
this category.
But yeah, I think we can finally go to our next category, and let me just quickly check, because I need to check if there's any repeats. No, there's no repeats in here, this one, so I can actually use my notes.
So,
As for the
and
next category, yeah, it's going to be hybrid.
yeah, another Aleppo. Like to put a small note here, Aleppo definitely, now that you think about it, it comprises a lot of different type of charting being inbuilt into one, like the SPs and then some of the code stream, the bursts. Like I think it definitely fit well with the hybrid definition.
Yeah, definitely not what some players would think as hybrid, because some players, this really does depend on to play from player. And while we were like checking on the nominations, we were like very lenient on what we consider the hybrid map and whatnot, given that some players might think that just with a few LNs that's a hybrid maps, others might be more strict on the kind of patterning needed in order to be considered a hybrid. But regardless, people thought this was a hybrid, people voted for this one, and here's the results of that,
I
voting
think it's
phase.
still well deserved, yeah.
It is deserved by its own, yeah. Again, as said before, it's a unique chart and holds itself well if you like this kind of patterning. So if you have not tried it, try it out. I think that's the 8th time that I said it, and I will continue saying it, so don't hold me accountable for it.
Anyway, shall we move to the second place for this?
Yep. It's going to be poo-poo part, ooh parts.
Oh, this chart.
Yeah. And this is exactly the antithesis of what I was saying before. Some people might think that something more heavy and more LN focus is going to be considered a hybrid map, and I think that's the perfect definition of that. Definitely not an easy map. I think this part doesn't make justice to what I just said, but definitely not an easy map. Used on, I've not noted that down. I think it's in semifinals, 2021 semifinals for the Mania World Cup as a tiebreaker. So you do realize, like, by playing, if you've played other tiebreakers, you realize that that style of mapping is present here, and I think that's really fun if you like these kinds of charts.
Yeah, definitely. Camellia is always the artist that have a lot of style, that has a lot of different layering in his music, and you definitely need a lot of experience to actually charting it to such amount of essence and detail inside it, and like actually deliver it to the in my opinion, one of the highest level it can be, and I mean it's just very good to see this kind of chart. Yeah, for sure. Like I thought this gonna be a first place actually, if I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah. This had a lot of chance of being first place as well. It just depended on how. Well, I think this is just an assumption. I think the only reason why this chart hasn't made it to the first one is because it's not as approachable as other options, which made it less prone for people to like actually have tried it out and actually form an opinion for it to be nominated. But regardless, it is deserved that it was at least on the podium. And for the first one, I think it's going to be a surprise for some, but I think it's deserved. I honestly think it's very well deserved. It's a very fun chart.
What is the first one, I wonder?
Yeah, it's not like we know already.
Oh,
Yep. It's going to be Penguin City's Shakushin.
Shine by Penguin City.
It's their first attempt at trying to rank a map. In advance, this is just another side comment, but I always like talking about random stuff as a commentator. Regardless, when I was told to mod this map, I still feel very sorry because back then I was just modding like every 3 seconds I'll do a mod. And Penguin, if you're hearing this, I'm really sorry because to this fucking day, I hate myself for being like that back then. I know that it was stressful for you, so if you're hearing this, I'm sorry. I think this is a good enough reward for that, so please forgive me.
Yeah, I mean, definitely this is pretty underdog choice for the winner, but this is definitely when I try to look at the layering, this is pretty well deserved. Yeah.
Yeah. A fun chart to go through. It's even though its selling usage might appear to be scarce and might not be all that challenging, the fact that this map is this long and this dynamic with how the song works, and some of the releases are very tricky, I think it's still challenging, given that, well, it was used on a tournament after all, so it's meant to be challenging in order to offer some kind of competitive aspect to it. So, give it a try.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think this is also the winner due to how accessible is it to a lot of player, like big wide range of player. Like, although this is something that I think is for more intermediate player, but I think top player definitely will enjoy the variant layers that it has in the chart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, like, congrats Penguin University for winning the hybrid category.
Yeah, we're going to the Hitsounding one then.
Oh,
Again, I forgot that there's free pits. Just a second. Oh, wait, there's not two.
Diamond 66.
Yep. Definitely, it's going to be different from the other nominations because this one is less centered on like actual key sounds and it's like actual hit sounds. Honestly, personally, completely biased opinion, but I think what makes this chart unique aren't the key sounds, the hit sounds, sorry. And I would suggest that you try it out without hit sounds because you'll enjoy it more. Despite that, the hit sound usage compared to other maps, given that this map could have chosen not to have any hit sounds because it was like a marathon and back then you could actually rank it with only a hit normal. So, oh, whoops, I just punched my microphone. I think it still deserves appraisal for that. How is this hit sound? I don't know, we haven't nominated it. You shouldn't ask ourselves. But yeah.
I think like it sound aside, I think the layering definitely pretty good, and I think people will enjoy it aside from the sounding one.
Yeah. Yeah, we're having funny now that someone brought it up in the chat that instead of showing the charts themselves on the hit song category, we just show the hit song difficulty. Maybe next year. That actually seems like a good idea.
Yeah. It seems like it's something to consider, definitely.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, we can just hop into the next one, which already starts playing with actual key sounds instead of hit sounds. definitely a good
Oh,
song,
yeah, Genshin Impact definitely. And Ganyu on the background.
obviously. I think it's
Yeah.
quite an easygoing chart. Well, easygoing if you're used to its trickier snaps and such. Uh, yeah, just like being six said, I think that's what everyone should be like. Completely unbiased opinion. Uh, anyhow, I think the piano hits key sounds used for this chart are commendable. Honestly, like given how difficult it is to properly manage key sounds in Osu because the engine sucks. I think it's still you know if you like playing with hit sounds, you're more than likely going to enjoy playing through these ones.
Yeah, actually, one of the favorite part I like from this map is the flute key sound. I think, like
Yeah,
I heard
yeah,
it's in some part.
yeah. They were using the demo track, so that's why there are kind of samples on vocal samples in the background. That's not the key sounds, not being confused by that. Anyhow, I think we can go to the second place.
Oh, oh yeah, this is actually tied for third place. Yeah, and the second place is Madoka.
Yep, back again with Babylon. I would say this is like a mix between what we saw in Bedroom Community and what we saw in with key sounds. It's the map aren't the hit sounds, if that makes any sense. Like the map is not the map isn't highlighted by the key sounds, it's highlighted by other things, such as its unique key mode, its patterning techniques, it being 7+1 key, which is what you're most likely going to play if you play an 8 map, but regardless. Other than that, key sounds were enjoyable enough for players to nominate this map, so here's that.
Yeah, I think the usage is definitely pretty enjoyable in the dance chord stream like this. Like it's like sometimes you have some hit sound and it's definitely really noisy to actually place with them, but this one actually pretty pleasant to hear, I think, overall.
Yep, definitely like a not minute, a detail that this chart has if you play with hit sounds. So if you do, you're going to at least have that extra experience to experience. So if you play with key sounds, you can always play the lower difficulties. We are obviously showing the most difficult one, but there's other more approachable ones. And again, there's 6 key if you are more acquainted with that key mode. So hey,
Yeah.
there's something for everyone.
But anyway, should we go to the first place this time?
Yep.
Oh, actually, I think this is pretty predictable
Yeah.
overall.
Thing it's definitely well deserved. Again, personally, completely unbiased and subjective opinion, the Ganyu map would have been my go-to for the first position, but this one has its merits of its own, just because of how unique the charting style is and how well it does play around with its key sounds used.
Yeah, I think there is actually another addition key sound here that are actually really similar with the sound that actually giving this an edge in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one that I meant. You can hear the instrument directly, and it's actually really good to hear while you're playing the chord.
Yeah, having that kind of feedback while you're playing is, for some, like, enjoyable. So, hey, if you're that kind of person for the 11th time, go try it. There's nothing else to say. I think you're going to enjoy the most if you play by yourself.
Yeah, congratulations Nonem for winning the Hits Out Code category for this one.
I think we can finally go into the next category, which personally, it's the second that I'm most intrigued for, the first one being the last one, but regardless, the next one is going to be very interesting to go through, given that there weren't many nominated maps that could have been nominated to begin with, um, which in this case is going to be Antimeta.
Antimeta. Oh, another no-name chart actually.
Yep. So basically, for those unaware of this map, or for those who have actually played the 4K version, which is nothing alike this one, uh, its main focus it's obviously going to be long notes, and the fact that it's 6 key, which both things are unique on its own. And personally, after having played this map, even though I suck at it, I genuinely suck at this kind of charts. Well, it was fun to go through on the parts that I could like play normally, like a normal person would do. Um, Not like I'm saying I'm not a normal person, but regardless. Um,
Yeah.
it's fun. Definitely, its release usage, forming part of the challenge is definitely fun. Um, and I would say to give it a shot if you're a fan of these kinds of maps that are more like release focus. It's definitely trickier than it looks. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I actually really like this chart actually. Like, I think No Name definitely diverse himself with a lot of charting technique, and this is personally one of my favorite one from him. Like, this is for intermediate player that definitely has a lot of intricate layering behind it, and like overall, I think this definitely deserve the place. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I think we can already hop into the next one. I also suggest you try out the 4K version of this map if, well, you don't play 6K, which honestly, why are you not trying it out? You're missing out on quite a lot of interesting content. Um, I think I'd still suggest you play the 4K version if you like the song at the very least. It's also really interesting to go through. So I think we can go to the next one, which we didn't have a second place. We have two first places that have died.
Mm. Oh, paracord chart.
Yeah, definitely well deserved. It's by far in terms of like creative aspect, like in terms of the creative aspect compared to all of the charts nominated, I think this is just the best one thus far. Not only because of the charting style, but also the song used and the effort that went into making it appealing while playing. It's quite interesting. It definitely seems simple, but I cannot fathom the effort that went into just conceptualizing the idea and making it work. And I think that's just amazing. That's just something that not everyone would have been able to do.
Yeah, actually, like I'm actually pretty surprised Paracore actually tried to venture in another key mode, especially anti-meta one. Since I know him for like to playing with SVs and those kind of gimmick in general, and actually not only to venture in this kind of key mode, but actually to deliver it. And actually, it's personally also one of my favorite among the anti-meta. That's for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely, I would say this is like a hidden gem. Even though it's ranked, I'm surprised that it's not like as recognized as other charts. Like this is just, it feels like it's not making justice to it. So just send it out there and enjoy it. Just play it. Please just play it. I think you can, just by saying it, you're not going to enjoy it. That's just my opinion, though. You can just watch it and enjoy it, I guess. But I would suggest you try it out.
So I guess we can come to the other first place.
Yeah.
Oh, Overthinker.
And probably to someone's not surprised because, again, people who think actually do end up like knowing what might be nominated, what might win, what might not. And Overthinker's back at it again on the first place of Antimeta. I think it's just an accumulation of the reasons that we've already explained before, honestly. That's what made this chart unique, even though, well, not even though, on its own. It's unique on its own, and it even is unique enough as to compete with other more popular key modes, as seen in other categories.
Yeah, I think this is another pretty predictable choices overall. Like, so Team Mermaid has even more gimmick put into it, and I think like he he won the anti-meta category last year and then like win it again this year. It's actually already shows how far he comes to this kind of type of charting. Yeah.
The real world.
Yeah. So I think there's not much else to say. Everything that we've had to say was already said before on the How You Can Ask category. So hey, you can now form your own opinions of this chart. But yeah, I think we can go to our final map category, finally. And I think it's one that some people are really looking forward, which is going to be our 7 keys category.
7 key categories. And the third place goes to Stun, Screw or Screw.
Yep. It's definitely, it's a fun one. Like, it's generally fun. I had a lot of fun playing it. Not only because of the SBs, but the battering itself is like decent to go through. Even though the burst might be, again, sorry for my language, but some of the bursts are a bitch to go through. Like, even though that's the case, everything else it just flows really well with your hands and fingers. It really goes really well. Even if you cannot play the top difficulty, I would still suggest to play the other ones. The whole spread is like very fun to go through, even if you're just starting on 70.
Yeah, one of the amazing things that I've encountered from Stun Chart is that I heard from him that he definitely take his inspiration from Kawawa. Like that's why you saw such a rigid concept and rigid structure that are coming from his chart. But I think, like personally, Stun Chart is like much more is to hand in general. I think like the structure is definitely more pleasant for personally for me, and definitely I think Stun has gone a long way to actually mapping something this high of caliber, and I'm proud of him actually.
Yep. Just as a little tangent, obviously Stan's maps this year around were like amazing. Even though Rainbow Magic has not gotten all that many votes, I think it's still as good as this one, even though the partnering is different. So I suggest you try out their whole repertoire of maps of this year. It's really interesting, and I do love that they make this amazing content for basically all kinds of players and difficulties. So hey, go try it out.
Yeah, definitely. Now we go to the second place.
Yep. Second place is going to be a little bit more polarizing. This is one of the 7 key charts that's extremely niche, but extremely unique on its own. And it's very unique even for Paradox's standards, which is known to make really interesting content.
Yeah, and like from what I know, Paradoxus, Sticker, and Dubstep are three from one group that definitely try to supporting this kind of niche content into the rank section. And actually, despite the nicheness that come from the chart, it actually being structured really well. And actually, I think overall this gives like a really good touch and emphasis to the song overall.
Yeah. I think the short way to describe this chart is weird, but in a good way. Weird in a good way. Obviously, it's not your run-of-the-mill 7K chart. It's not going to be appealing to most of the player base. But even though those who can play and those who enjoy it a lot, because it's a creation of its own. It's unique. I know I'm using that word a lot, but there's little words to describe what this chart or other charts are. And I think having its own essence is important to be recognizable. And I think this chart will go down as what it is, unique.
Yeah. Overall, this is actually my favorite pick, and I personally will want to have this as the first place personally, but it's okay. Like second place already really good.
But yeah, for the first place, as I somehow predicted at the beginning, we're going to have a map that's coming back from the very first section that we did at the beginning.
Another anima.
Yep. I think, yeah, there's not much else to say that we have not said already at the start, because we spent a lot of time on that one. But in terms of like 70 and the impact that it had on the community, let's just say, with the big spread, being very accessible, offering unique challenges for every difficulty, etc., etc. I think this map was one of the first ones to capture all of that very well, even though I do also think that other big spreads did the literal same, so they all had the same rights to win, as pointed out by the chat, obviously.
Yeah, I think like overall this is another very predictable choices, and I think people mostly influenced by the fact that this is like full version of the 7 key spread.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But
But
I don't think there's much else to say besides what we've already said at the beginning.
yeah,
I think we can finally hop on into the user categories, which we're going to start with most promising user.
yeah. Now finally we go to the user category. Oh, the third one is Guden.
So, we're going to be speeding this up because we got shouted by management. No wonder, actually. I'm sorry for that. The first most promising person who we're going to be talking about is Guden on third place. Just as a little side note, the maps behind are fairly irrelevant. We're mostly going to be commenting about the users themselves, their achievements, what they've done in the community, what we think to be the reasons why they were chosen by, all of that.
Yeah, but I think we can try to summarize it at least.
Yeah, we're going to have to summarize it, so go ahead. What do you have to say about it?
Yeah, I mean, personally for me, if I have to wrap it up in like a few sentences, I think Guden is like one of the few people that definitely have very high modding capability, and also like not only the modding capability was, but also his mapping charting has been improved throughout these few years, definitely. And I think like Alone Intelligence definitely setting up a very good promising aspect for him. Like definitely I can see like he definitely deserve the top 3 places in here.
Yeah.
What
As for
do you
my,
think?
well, as for what I think of Guden, I think now that we're so late into 2022, so we actually can know how promising they actually were, what were the results of that promise. And I think Guden didn't under-deliver with what they have managed to do throughout 2022. Not only did they start with a very good start in 2021 with their contributions, like be modding, ranking maps, or taking other community projects, but now seeing that effort being multiplied by twofold in 2022, and seeing everything they've been doing for the community despite the hardships that they've been facing, that's commendable. Like that's really commendable, and I think they did deserve some kind of appraisal, and I think that's what we're trying to do here with.
Yeah, and just to take another note, like I definitely think like both of us maybe will have probably a small bias with their contribution in 2022, but we will try our
Anyhow, I think we can already go to the second one.
second place.
Let me actually check my notes because I don't know if there are repeats. No, there are not.
Yeah. Flavy.
So, for Flavy, sorry, I don't know how to spell the last I. I'm sorry if I botched the pronunciation of your name. Well, I don't have as much background on or reason why they've been liked this much by the community. All I can say by what I've been analyzing of their works done throughout 2021 is that despite starting fairly slow in 2021, they've managed to amass a certain popularity now entering 2022, and they've managed to keep pushing content, helping other users out, ranking maps. The short version is that they've been fairly active on the spaces that they've been working with as a community member, and I think that's why they're here for.
Yeah, definitely. Like Levi actually already become BN for this year, and like I personally felt his potential already been quite seen like from previous year by charting something like this definitely, and then I heard he actually had more quite some as well from previous year. Like he definitely like showing like he will contribute into something bigger into the upcoming events or the future, which is what makes him deserving the second place for the most promising category.
Yeah. Other than that, I think we can skip right to our first place for most promising, which is definitely not going to appeal to some people, but if they're there, they're there for a reason. The community has voted for Syrian as our
Yeah,
first most promising member, and
yeah,
honestly, to some degree, I do agree with this decision, given that they've been the most approachable one, modding-wise, mapping-wise, ranking-wise, etc., etc. On the circles that they've been in, they've been working fairly much on them, and that ended up amassing the merit that they now hold by being the first one in this category.
yeah. I think Sirion just started pretty fresh last like 2021. But if I want to give a small note of their performance in 2022, like they actually become one of the most active and currently like nominating tons of laughs.
Yeah. Other than that, I think we can hop right into our next category, which is going to be most influential.
Yeah. The
Our
third
third
one,
place, we finally get block
Blocko,
mention.
IT Blocko.
Yeah. Even though they've not managed to get anything on the 7 key category, which they had all of the chances and all of the merit to win that category as well, them being mentioned here is more than worth it. It's more than worth it, and I think it undermines the value that they've had for the community, especially on the 7 key side of things. Right when we were talking about before 7 key not being approachable, not having maps on past years, etc., etc., them spending this much time in these big spreads, making sure that every player has something to play is just commendable. And having maps like this be enjoyable across all of the spread is just amazing. Also play this map, it's really amazing. I know it doesn't have anything to do with them on this section, but just play it, it's really good.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I'm pretty surprised Blocko actually didn't appear in previous category actually, but like, he's actually as influential as Kawawa in my mind actually. Like,
Yeah.
Kawawa definitely spreading so much influence 7 key, but Blocko is one of the even older one who actually being the pioneer for that. Like, definitely, I think he deserves even higher praise for that.
Yeah, both of them spearheaded the 7 key section in literally all aspects, and I think that deserves an award of its own. Anyhow, we're going to jump into our second place. We have no hits. Yeah, we do not. So, in our second place, we're going to have Kawawa. I think we kind of spoiled saying that they both appealed to basically the
Yeah,
same things, and I think this just proves it. I think the community agrees that both of them had the same impact when it comes to influencing a whole key mode across the entire game.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, like Kawawa like already won the Grand User last year, but this year to have the second place in influential already proves that how much his influence in the community holds until now.
Yeah. Oops, sorry. Just a second.
Like Halcyon is also one of my favorite one personally.
Yeah. In any case, like I might sound like a broken record if I start explaining again the reasons on why they're here, given that we literally said everything we could at this point. We just want to say that Kawawa's and Blogger's efforts, who very well may have been on the first place and most influential. Like, obviously, we're not trying to skew the results. The results are what they are. We're not going to change that. But personally, their work should be appreciated more than the numbers might suggest.
Definitely.
in any case, we're finally going to the first place, and I think someone might be biased to comment on it, but I'll let them begin.
Are you sure?
I'm more than sure, yeah. I think that's going to be funnier. Eventually. There you go. All
Oh.
yours.
Why?
Well, I
Why?
think it's the most fitting one.
Like, I don't know what to say. Like,
I can help if you want, but I do want to let you start with it.
yeah, I think people like since this MCA already been held in end of 2022, I think most people like pretty biased with the fact that they think about what people do in this year instead of last year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, yeah,
oh, no, go on, I'll let you finish.
yeah, I mean like from this year alone, like I think one of the thing that makes people like voting is definitely like I nominate too much next this year, maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
Like what do you personally think about it?
Well, if you were to ask me on the reasons why I thought this was the case, given that I was a third person and all that, might be less biased. I think your job nominating 7 key maps when back then there weren't that many people pushing it, I think that contributed a lot to it. Besides that, just offering a lot of nominations back then, and the most important thing that I think you should be commended with is you've managed to adapt from the QAT era to a more modern rendition of the rank section, and not many people have that progressive mentality. Like I do know some people that would have not been able to do that with this and would have rather worked with the same dogmas that they worked with back then. And I think being able to adapt, and not only adapt but keep progressing this section forwards, I think that's what made people realize the value that you've had on, well, the influence that you've had in the community as a whole, and I think that's commendable.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty glad that although this is mostly I think for 2022 results,
Yeah.
definitely, but I'm glad people actually.
Yeah, might have been better in most promising, but the influence, regardless, is still strong there.
Yeah, thank you so much for it.
Anyhow,
Thank you so much.
no worries about that. Let's just go to our next category, which is going to be the mother category.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Gomi doesn't map line. I just want to point out that 90% of the map, 90% of the chart being shown is made by them. And the 10% that's still there was made by me and supervised by them. But anyways, this is the only map that I will say do not play for the sake of your own, sanity. Well,
yeah. I think like when it comes to modding, Quenla definitely like one of the top in the entire Mania community. Definitely, like I definitely saw her passion in helping a lot of people. Definitely new mapper, and then I saw that how she pushes for quality aspect as well, and then definitely she likes to pushes for the big spread and the long marathon, which is pretty rare and time consuming. So I definitely think those are few of the reasons she is in the top tier of the category.
yeah. Well, other than that, being someone who has been like in very close ties with what they've done and very close even, well, basically we've done a lot of stuff together in this regard, and I do commend everything that they've gone through. I think they've been the one pulling the strings the most. And I think that shows, given that the amount of work that they've done, going out of their way to make sure that the section would be as best as it could, making sure that the community is heard, and making sure that well-documented changes are made in order to suit the community's demands. And I think that was very well shown all throughout 2021 and now 2022.
Yeah, I definitely think I want to congratulate Squella for not only having the second place for the second place
Yeah.
for the model category, but also for the fact that she becomes NAT in 2021 as well, which is an achievement.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we move on?
Yes, we should. To our second place. Yeah, there's no third place, and I'm not going to spoil who was before because otherwise I'm not going to say. Other than that, our second place is going to be Akasha.
Sure. Akasha with the Kaibutsu.
Yeah. Again, we didn't have any maps to choose from, so we chose one from 2021 because that would be the most fitting choice. Other than that, I think their work as an active nominator back then, after they rejoined the section, is very commendable. Like, their activity was shown, and like compared to the activity before the work they've done and the work they've done, I think it's once you start seeing how many maps have been ranked since they joined, and other people as well, I think you start seeing how much can someone with passion for the community in the game can do and can change the section. And I think Akasha spearheaded a lot of projects that would later be popular and liked by the community. And
Yeah,
now they're an act, so hey, that just proves it.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Like, if we want to talk from his modding capabilities as well, it's also the fact that he's very attentive and details when it comes to modding. Like, he can do like 40, 50 modding at once. Like, I don't say the quantity is the measurement of quality, obviously, but it also at the same time shows how much he cares for each of the maps that he modding in general.
Yeah. Another thing to highlight, that I do want to highlight, is that he's one of the few people that like go all throughout the qualified section and make sure that the quality assurance on the maps that they check is, well, that stupid stuff doesn't go through basically. And I'm talking about this being on the receiving end on nominating stupid stuff. I think that's necessary in order to avoid the community not enjoying the maps after they get ranked. So hey, that's a good thing.
Definitely good popularity choice in this. Anyway, should we move on to the first place?
Yep, finally, for the first place on the modding category, it's going to be someone that's going to start talking again because that's funnier.
Oh my god, why?
I don't know. I think that's just funnier.
like to say something about it, like I indeed thought out for this year, but definitely not in 2021, that's for sure. But I only remember that I did my modding application for BN up before. Like, I had like some of the giant SI mods that I still have until now.
Yeah. Yeah, we should go fast a little bit. But yeah, I think we've all gone through the reasoning before, so hey, we can just go to the next section to make this less awkward. I think that's going to be for the best of us.
Yeah, we can try to jump to the other category.
Yeah, the mapper category finally.
Mapper category.
And we're going to speed things through because we're getting shouted out again. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah. The third place is Monheim Spotlight.
Yeah. We're going to have 2 third places. The first one makes sense. The second one still makes sense, but it's an anomaly. You'll see why. Other than that, I don't have much to say about this. I nominated this map, so I'm biased on what I'm saying, but it's definitely a very well constructed dump map with very decent ideas and well executed ones at that. It's really fun to go through, and the way that it represents the, well, I'm just speaking in general now. I'm using this chart as an example, but this just goes to all of Monheim's maps. The way that they express their charting style in such a unique way, which is not something that everyone can do. is amazing. There's a lot of people who like their maps, and that just keeps showing, given that they are now here on the podium as we were speaking.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to dream, it's just a dream.
Yeah.
So, like, I really like compared the vocal the mapping in here. Like, I really enjoy it actually. Like, one of my favorite ever. Like,
Yeah.
I really like it. Like, overall, this is definitely deserve the third place. Like, I think we can move to the second place here.
Yeah. Also played this map, it's good. And the second, third place is going to be Dreamwalker. That's why I was saying it was an anomaly, because despite not launching a map on 2021, the community decided to nominate them. And honestly, I think it's fair. I think it's fair because someone's worth as a mapper shouldn't just be, on back maps, and their work that they've been doing so on the background is definitely commendable. Their style is unique and it has a very wild fan base, and I think it's worth mentioning that their charting style is a league of its own, and that's why they're here.
Yeah, definitely. And I also heard from Dreamwalker himself that he really want to push a much more innovating way of charting style, and also he wants the community to also understand that there are more than numerous different ways of charting it in a way that people find it a new idea and creative one. And he definitely, I think, deserve for the spot in mapper category, considering that he has the future prospect of pushing even further the mapping ideology and the mapping creativity, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we move on?
Yep, we're going to the second place finally. And I think this is where Ben thinks he's lost its sanity.
Yes, Ella.
Oh no, not this one, the next one. But yeah. Lita, or also known now as Stella, has made a lot of accessible and approachable maps all throughout 2021, which the community has liked. I would say that this is one of the examples that they've managed to map very popular songs in a way that people would be the most comfortable with. And now they are here, the community has voted, the community has decided their fate on the second place as a mapper.
Yeah, I think in terms of the mapping, Stella definitely understand how to incorporate a charting style where a lot of public masses actually quite like and play his chart over and over. Like this alone already amassed 900 followers, which is pretty harsh.
Yeah. More than that, hey, let's just hop into the first place before we get kicked out of the stream.
Yeah, what is the first place here?
First place might be someone that we've already commented that.
Oh, Kawawa already appeared at least 3 times by now.
Yep, and honestly, well deserved. I think, again, we've already gone through all the possible reasons and all of the possible merits why they've been nominated for it. So hey, if you've never played a map of theirs, hey, just do so. You're incentivized to do so.
Yeah, I think like considering all our previous comments and also the fact that this chart has also very huge spread, like I think the mapper and spread and then all other categories are connected to each other, and also this pretty much already proves that he deserves the first place for the mapper category, that's for sure.
Yep. And finally, for the Grand Award, we're going to start with the users. So let's just jump right into it.
Yeah.
Who would have guessed? Honestly, given how many times they have been nominated and have been on the podium, I think this is like a well-deserved place for them. Personally, I would say a little bit higher would have been better. But regardless, I think it is well-deserved still.
Yeah, I definitely think that he already won previous Grand Award, and I think for the fact that he's still in the top 3, it's already proof that the influence that he has, and also that the fact that he's inspiration for others make him deserve to be the long lasting of the memorable member of Mania community as a whole.
Yep. So just as I said before, hey, we've already talked about Kawawa a lot, so if you want to see the bot and hear our opinions over and over and over and over, you can do that. Not to discredit the work they've done. They've done an amazing work, and if I had to talk about everything they've done, I would be here for like 50 minutes. So, hey, there's that.
Yeah, congrats Kawawa for the third place in the Grand Award.
And let's just hop into the second place. And here's
Yes.
where Banksy lost its sanity. Just a breaking point.
And the second place is Stella the Oral Cigarettes, TOC.
Honestly, not much to say that we haven't already said again, because most of the people reappearing now, we've already exhausted all kinds of appraisals and commentary that we can extrapolate out of them and their works. But again, this just all comes down to popularity and the approachability of their maps. And given how approachable, how accessible, and appealing to the casual player base they were, and also decent for what they are, I think that's what made them stay here in the Grand Award.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think Stella definitely brings a lot of influence for the player, and also his chart really likable for a lot of masses. And I think he actually pretty high in terms of all the category that he experienced throughout the year. And I think like obviously he maps 20 minutes song, right? And Vince is already like, no, I don't want to record this for another 20 minutes.
Yeah. Anyhow, finally, let's just hop into the first place Grand Award for user.
Yeah. Who is the Grand Award? Oh,
And someone
the
pointed out
Grand
in the
Award.
chat, yeah, it's going to be Akasha again.
Akasha.
I think this is just a culmination of everything they've done for the community. I think they've had the biggest outreach in terms of mapping, modding, helping ranking maps, helping users out, knowing people out, etc., etc. And on a popularity contest such as this, that's what sealed the deal for them.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to note is that Akasha is already one of the oldest member in the community, and although I know that this is for 2021, but I think here the Grand Award also encompass for the fact that Akasha already holds a lot of influence, involvement, and also being helpful for a lot of people, and then charting a lot throughout like multiple years. Like if you want to count until this year, it's already 9 years he's already in this community. It's crazy actually when you think about it. Yeah, he stays for so long and then keep being consistent and passionate about he stay here and mapping and helping other people. And definitely I think he definitely deserves the first place for the Grand Award.
Absolutely agree on that. I think it's commendable seeing them having worked their asses for this long and still keep going with it. So, hey, congratulations for that. It's well deserved.
Yeah, congratulations Akasha. Like I expect a lot more influence and a lot more helpful work from you in the future.
Yep. And finally, we have the mapping Grand Awards. Well, the Grand Awards for the map category, sorry. And on third place, it's going to be definitely not a surprise. I don't think this was a surprise. What else there is to say? Like, at this point, we should just let the chat decide. What is there left to say?
Like at this point, I think chat already describes better just how much Kawawa appear. Like this is already 4 times. Oh my god.
Yeah, just take a shot every time that Kawawa has appeared.
At this point, he already hitting all the kids like what we past said is for sure.
Yep. Anyhow, just as we said before, because we do not want to drag the stream and there's not much else to say about this, Kawawa well deserved mapping Grand Award. So Congratulations.
I think we can move on to the second place for this one.
Yep. Definitely interesting to see again. If you were to ask me, I would have expected other kinds of marathons to be added here. It's interesting nonetheless. I'm not sure if interesting in a good or a bad way, but it's interesting, and it's what the community has decided. Yeah, someone spoiled second place. Hey, again, if you can extrapolate what makes a map popular, you can start guessing what's going to win the tournament. But anyways, I would say that this does deserve some kind of recognition, as said before, because of the effort that went behind it. Even though I might agree that some of the executions might have been better, that shouldn't undermine that the effort that went into the whole project as a whole is just incredible. Like, who else is going to be willing to make these kinds of efforts, and who's going to be going the extra mile just to make charts like this? Not a lot of people will. Not a lot of people have the patience, and Evening has managed to do that.
Yeah, and I think also for the fact that in terms of timing this much, and which is his specialties, like I cannot really remember that much on top of my head. And Evening is the only one that do it pretty consistently and being well known for that. So I think that uniqueness is definitely the one who giving him the edge for the Grand Award second place.
Yeah. And finally, for the last award we're going to be commentating for this year, it's going to be something that someone already spoiled in the chat, and they're probably going to freak out.
Tickle for the Grand Award.
Honestly, this is biased. This is very biased, but I do appreciate that Tickle's getting this kind of recognition. After everything they went through, the discussions of this map, I do agree some kind of like retribution arc. They should have been gone through that. I think this is their chance.
Definitely yes, and I think Tico winning the Grand Award already been like the biggest retribution he has, and also all the effort that he gone through to actually rank this chart finally pays off for him.
But anyways, now that we have just a little bit more time before we're going to end, I just want to say that seeing these maps, if you've not played them, seeing them won't make them justice. For the, let me count. For the 16th time on this stream, I will tell you to play the maps that you've not tried out. Make your own conclusions, Okay?
Yeah, that's true. Like we say many times, but it's indeed true. You need to actually experience it yourself to make your conclusion and your opinion.
Yeah. Other than that, I think that seals the deal. That's the year. That's 2021.
Yeah, and we should congratulate Tico for winning this Grand Award category, and for being quite new in the community. It's actually a pretty big achievement.
It is, yeah, it is. Other than that, thank you everyone who has come here. Probably some might have had sour taste on their mouths after seeing this. Others might have been impressed by the awards even, and others might be happy for the people who won. And I think that's what we should be, all proud of.
Oh yeah, like I think I asked this in the beginning of the stream, but I think it's good to ask this again. What is your overall impression again after commentating all of this?
Honestly, compared to other years, well, without the 2022 values, compared to other years, 2021 has been an incredible stepping stone. And I say stepping stone because 2022, I believe, is going to be way more competitive than this year without the MCA. So that's going to be way more interesting to see, especially with the changes that have been pushed since 2021 started. So I think we can only say that we expect a lot of things from 2022, and there's still a couple of 1 month and a couple of weeks left. So hey, the people who have not ranked the map yet, that this is your chance to do so.
Yeah, what you said is true. Yeah, definitely. Like I think 2021 already setting something that in the next year will definitely be something a lot more better, and then something much more competitive. And I think overall this year already delivered that in all aspects.
Yep.
Like I do hope 2022 NCA will be happen in early 2023. Like
We
I
hope
don't know.
so.
Like I don't really want it to happen at end of year again if possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for everyone that already watching the stream. We appreciate it for your patience and also for waiting until the end.
Anyways, hope you enjoyed your stay here. I don't think there's much else to say. We really hope to see you next year, and we're probably going to stay in contact one way or another. So, hey, have a good one, you all.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yep. See you in the next year.